Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 BPIA Colin Powell Leadership Institute closing ceremony. My name is Alexandra Maloney. I'm currently the president and the founder of the BPIA Colin Powell Leadership Institute. So very excited to bring a strong conclusion to our second official year as an institute and as a cohort. We are joined by two powerhouse speakers today that we are very excited to welcome. So we'll do a brief review of Institute highlights this year, welcome the discussions with our keynote speakers, and then we'll open the floor for reflections and insights from members of our cohort this year. So again, on behalf of the BPI board and advisory council leadership, we'd like to congratulate the 2025 cohort of the BPI Colin Powell Leadership Institute. We recognize that our institute members range and represent a variety of different sectors and organizations who are at different stages of their career. And it is our hope and intent that this institute has helped to prepare and equip you with some tools and strategies on how to elevate and rise in your leadership journey. And so I like to start and finish our year off with the institute by asking us the question of this, by touching on the concept of the story of us, because we as a cohort do have a story. We may come from different backgrounds, different physical locations. Some may be based in Washington, D.C., some may be based abroad, many who may represent fields in the diplomatic, development, defense, private sector fields. But our collective kind of interest and desire for participating in this institute is wanting to elevate and advance ourselves professionally. And so that being a baseline has brought so many opportunities for us as a cohort. I was also part of the first cohort, so I consider myself a cohort alum as well of the program. And that is what brings us together as a cohort. Last year, we did experience two really heavy losses from cohort members, one Otis James Holloway and Victoria Latorte. And so we'd like to take a moment to just recognize both of them as members of our community. This year, we did officially launch the Otis Holloway Scholarship Fund. So for any of you who are interested in learning more or donating to that fund, you can do so on the donate portion of our website for BPIA. We are also very fortunate that we received a sizable scholarship from members of the State Department who worked with Otis as well. And so that scholarship fund has already been met at a match that will sustain over the next 4 to 5 years for us to be able to do a scholarship fund. But no amount is too big or too little. So if you would like to do that and contribute to that, please feel free to do so. I'm going to just speak to the high-level overview of the impact that our program does, and then I'll pass it to Gabrielle, one of our vice chairs of the program, to give the highlights from this year. The overarching core mission and purpose of our institute is to prepare the next wave and the next generation of rising leaders in the foreign affairs field. And so moving back to last year, our inaugural year, the convenings have taken different shapes from both institute years. But for those who were on, if you're an alumni of the Colin Powell Leadership Institute who participated last year, please feel free to put a 1 in the chat so that we know that it's you and you're here. And if you are a cohort member from this year, from 2025, please feel free to put a number 2 in the chat so that we know who is in. So 1, if you're an alumni from last year, 2, if you are currently a member of this year's cohort. And so the activities and the programming has looked like policy and professional briefings, media trainings, internal monthly discussions where we discuss current events on our monthly check-ins. Last year, we hosted a few saloon dinners, boot camps both last year and this year, where we brought in leaders and experts. We also had the opportunity to do the mentorship matching for senior mentorship matching and connect in person at our First Fridays and many other opportunities as well. If everyone can join me in giving the biggest round of applause and a big thank you to this year's Institute leadership. So our chair of our Powell Institute, Wayne Brown, our vice chairs, Gabrielle and Jax, for their work in ensuring that we had a professional and continued program at Institute. This Institute is 100% volunteer. As you see, the leadership of the Institute is made up of alumni from the cohort, from the program. So if this is something of interest to you where you would like to give back to this community in this way, there's an opportunity to serve as Institute leadership or as kind of a committee member to help support next year's Institute. As I pass it to Gabrielle, these are just some of the faces, some of the colleagues and leaders who we have developed with together in this program. And I'm just kind of taking a second to look back as well. And it's bringing a smile to my face to see the memories and the reminders of the experiences and the growth that we have had as a community. So now please join me in welcoming Gabrielle, who will give some highlights from this year's Institute. Gabrielle, over to you.
Thank you so much, Alexandria, and welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining tonight's program. And a massive, just first off, thank you to my co-chair, Jax Shelton, who could not be here tonight. Without her, the program would have been vividly different. So I just wanted to express that gratitude up front. So thank you so much. And of course, to our champion and leader, Wayne Brown, we couldn't have done it without you as well. So thanks so much. In terms of the program this year, we had a lot going on and we had a lot of good times. We started off obviously with our virtual induction ceremony where we were able to hear from two wonderful speakers. We heard from Mr. Marquise Miller from the Obama Foundation and Mr. Daryl M. Blocker, who was the founder of a prestigious consulting firm, and really got some great knowledge from them during that opening ceremony. So it was the perfect way to really kick off the program. As you all know, this program is centered around General Colin Powell's legacy of leadership. And I think we did a remarkable job in kind of hitting a lot of those points. So first, a lot of the fellows from 2024 and 2025 joined on a series of monthly check-ins where we talked about a variety of topics, AI, climate, geopolitics, and oftentimes those sessions were led by current fellows, which is wonderful. That's what we want to kind of encourage, is that sharing of knowledge and sharing of expertise, and, you know, really being a part of the fabric of the program versus a passive participant. So that was a really great part of the program. We also did a leadership boot camp, which was wonderful. There we learned about the 13 rules of leadership from General Powell. Does anyone remember all 13 of the rules? That's okay. If not, you know, we have that as a reference to go back and check. But number 4 really stood out with me, or to me, which was "it can be done." And all of you guys, you know, going through this program and joining the illustrious alumni cohort, you guys proved that it can be done. We also heard from Mayor Sandra Morgan of East Cleveland about reinvention, which was quite timely given a lot of, you know, what's been going on in the international affairs space, given the new administration. So it was a very timely kind of speech and pick me up. So that was very enjoyable. In addition to our boot camp, we also had a media training by one of our very own BPI leaders, Ethel, on personal branding as a leader and kind of commanding the room. So that was really great. We also had a number of kind of, I'll say, cultural excursions around the city of Washington, D.C. So as you can see in the pictures, we went to the Washington Nationals game. They played the Colorado Rockies, but it was a great occasion because it was Juneteenth. we all got great little jerseys, and we were able to kind of fellowship and close out the program in that way. We also went to the National African American History and Culture Museum to go visit the Double Victory exhibit, which is an exhibit not only celebrating General Colin Powell and his achievements, but all African Americans in military service. So that was a very, wonderful excursion. We also went to visit General Colin Powell and his wife's um, uh, grave sites at the Arlington Cemetery, and were able to lay wreaths. So you'll see a picture at the top left of the screen where were able to visit and kind of share sentiments and stories. In fact, there were several BPIA members that showed up that had personal experiences with General Colin Powell. So that was very special. So there were a number of excursions that kind of allowed us to reflect on his leadership and to embody those leadership qualities through our discussions, and sharing of our future visions, that sort of thing. So we had a lot of fun. Yeah, we also again, on those check-ins, having those BPI members and Colin leadership policy, or the Colin Powell Leadership Institute members kind of lead those, was just really special. So that is kind of a brief overview of what we did. We plan to do, of course, more in the future with the support of the Colin Powell Leadership Institute members moving forward. And I will pass it over to Wayne to introduce our first keynote speaker.
Thank you so much, Gabby. Thank you so much for that. Before I start, I just wanted to give a round of applause and a thank you to Gabby, Jax, and Alexandra for the support they have given to me and have given to the Colin Powell cohort leadership. Again, this is 100% voluntary. Nobody here is being paid at all. It is 100% voluntary. And I want to say again, Gabby and Jax have went out of their way completely to make sure that this program was successful. With the driving, with Alexandra driving and me helping her steer, and then the other two in the back pushing, it was great. It was great. I just want to give you guys a commend for that. Our introduction to our first speaker this evening is General Kip Ward, inaugural Commander of the United States Africa Command. Please join me in welcoming our first distinguished keynote for the 2025 Powell Leadership Institute closing ceremony, General Kip Ward.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Wayne, for that introduction that you provided there. And I'm glad you kept it short because, buddy, time is limited, and I wanted to talk to your team. So it's not about me. This is about these, as I call you, youngsters here. And so let me start off by congratulating every one of you, be you our first year Colin Powell Institute attendee, or those of you who are in your second year. Again, congratulations to you all for being a part of this fantastic endeavor, this fantastic program. And I'm going to add my congratulations as well to those that just expressed by Wayne, to Alexandra, Jax, Gabby, and Wayne as well, for your focus, your dedication to making this happen. My father, who was a World War II veteran, had a saying that he would often use when something would occur that seemed kind of special. And that saying would be, if something would go on and he would give a saying, say, hey, this is not something that just happens. So I'm just going to echo that and say, hey, it doesn't just happen. And so thank you all for making it a reality, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So congratulations. I'm happy to be here, excited to be here with you. And most of all, at my vintage, I just get excited and do the happy dance when I see youngsters who are about doing what you are doing to help make this world better. And I call you youngsters. All of you are younger than I am, so I can call you a youngster. But this is something that's really important to me, and happy to be a part of it. And And I'm thankful that this is not my first time engaging with BPIA either. So it's wonderful to be with you again. So thank you very much for having me as you wind down this great experience. I mean, this workshop that you just concluded here and the program for this cohort is something that has to be sustained, So congratulations. Now, Wayne, I can keep talking there, Hot Rod, there. So, but
I missed my button. I missed my cue. I apologize, sir.
For me to hit, so I better wind up. I have no problem. Continue to wax.
We appreciate it, sir. We appreciate it so much. So this evening, I'm going to start off with a few questions for General Ward. General Ward, as the inaugural commander of AFRICOM, how did you navigate the complexities of diplomacy, development, and defense in building trust with African partners? And what lessons from that experience should future leaders take to heart?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'll say is that it didn't just start when I took command of United States Africa Command in 2007. And now towards the end, I'll make another point here that might bring it all together. But I first understood, or at least begin to get a gleaning of what it meant to link diplomacy, development, and defense in 1992. Now, good news is, unlike me, each of you are far further along in your preparation than was I. I was a late comer to the whole deal of this defense, diplomacy, and development thing. And in fact, as I believe I mentioned to Alexandria, that term was coined in 2007 in a place called Djibouti. And it was during a little conference that I was leading with my team as we were talking about how we were going to be doing what we do on Africa. And so, like many things, we don't get credit for things. But when you hear the 3Ds, person that you're looking at, put that on the map. But I didn't call it 3Ds in 1992. All I knew in 1992, as I was commanding my brigade in Somalia, was that having gone there on a mission to help deal with famine and hunger, my soldiers of my combat brigade weren't fully equipped to do all that we were being asked to do. And so I would turn around and look, where are the partners? Where are the others that need to be a part of this scene in order to do what it is we're to do? And so it was in 1992 and 1993 in Somalia that I began to get a hint that, hey, it ain't all about what you do, Ward, with your combat formation. It's about what other parts of our government also are charged to do. And obviously that led to our diplomats, represented mostly in our Department of State, as well as those things being done by many of our non-governmental organizations, the NGOs, et cetera, and USAID, the developmental side, in order to make this thing work. And so when it comes to the complexities of that whole scenario, fast forward to 2007, and by 2007, I'd done a couple of other things. I had spent a year in Egypt working with the Egyptian military, working in an embassy with a country team. I had spent a year in Israel working with the Israelis and the Palestinian Authority, as well as obviously our embassy and the country team there, dealing with the Israeli and Palestinian piece, trying to get some traction to things there. And I'd spent a year in Bosnia, working as a NATO commander of the stabilization force in Bosnia. And each of those assignments had given me some additional insight in how the notion of defense, diplomacy, and development are integrated in ways to make the whole better than one of those elements could do alone as a standalone event. And so as I looked at my role as the first commander of the United States Africa Command, I said, wow, having experienced all these other things, from Somalia to Bosnia to Egypt to Israel, even some time that I spent in the Pacific, say, hey, if I'm to do my job as good as I can do it, and my soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, then we ought to be up close and personal with a whole lot of other government partners, namely our diplomats and our development specialists, because we all need to work together to do that piece, to make it work in conjunction with our national interests. And so it was very clear to me that I needed to do something that was critically important, and that is build relationships. Build relationships. And those relationships for me were at a substantially, at a fairly high level. But I also needed to ensure that that notion of building relationships was permeated throughout my formations. And as I worked with leaders from those other three legs of the three-legged 3D stool, if you will, impressing upon that same fact. And to include talking to the African partners that I would be working with respect to those things, i.e. letting them know that in addition to what I would be doing from a security and a defense perspective, it was important for me to also ensure that what I did from a security and defense perspective supported what our diplomats were doing and supported what our developmental officials were doing. And those messages were constantly relayed. And therein lies another point. You can never say the right thing too many times, because when you say it and it becomes a part of the activity set of your partners, they then internalize it also. So it wasn't a notion of something that I used to call parachute diplomacy. I was airborne, I parachute, but I would jump in, do my mission, and then leave. Well, this wasn't a parachute type operation where you jump in, you do what you do, you leave. It's a sustained engagement. So this notion of sustained engagement is critically important. And that sustained engagement across echelons was something that I tried to do to ensure that the complexity of dealing with how you integrate and synchronize defense, diplomacy, and development was a part of how we conducted and did our business. And I did that. And again, it wasn't just with our partners in Africa. It was also with our partners here in the interagency, the Department of State, because a lot of folks didn't quite get it that way. And so I say that to say that these are things that were constantly being reinforced, continually being reinforced, and being reinforced at echelon. And as the commander of AFRICOM, my job was also to not be the only person with that message. It was also to try to inculcate that message into my formation so that my leaders at echelon, as well as every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, understood it the same way, so that even in their interactions, again, that was being put forward such that it made sense, hopefully, to our partners. And so navigating that whole notion of how complex that environment was, it was a constant effort. And to be very candid with you, the start was a bit shaky because folks didn't understand it that way. But the more we talked to it, but importantly, the more the work we did illustrated it and demonstrated it. And as I was saying before, the point that my dad would make was, hey, you can say it, but it's more than a notion. You have to demonstrate it and prove it. And so we did it, and then our actions on the ground spoke to it. And from the country teams on the continent of Africa, but also in Europe, where before AFRICOM, I was the deputy commander of U.S. European Command, working with the country teams, the host nation partners. They saw it actually in the work that we did, so that my soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines were doing something, and it could impact something being done by our diplomats, our developmental officials. Then they too would be reinforcing the work that the other three stools of our legs of the stool of our government were doing. So this notion of synchronization, this notion of coordination, constantly doing that, and working with our interagency partners and the Department of State, the country teams, both on the ground, but as well as back in DC, so critical. And I'm going to say one more quick thing about that, and that's why I'm so happy to be with this group. When I did that coordination team, when I was trying to make those relationships team, guess who was missing from the scene? Folks who look like you. And I would go in, and I knew it mattered because we spend so much time, again, building relationships. I said that initially. And when you build relationships, you get to know someone. You get to understand who they are. And that helps create success because you're now having someone, a partner that doesn't see you as above them or beneath them. They see you as equal to them. And those partnerships are absolutely critical. And I'm just so was determined to make that a reality. So building effective partnerships is how we were able to help deal with the complexities of that. Because when you know someone in a personal way, it makes things a lot different than otherwise not. I could keep talking, but I think we're on a time limit, so I'll stop. Wayne, give me a sign if I keep going too long there, buddy, because I know
You're
Mr.
good,
Height is
sir. I
on
think
from here,
everybody's
so
enjoying the words of inspiration, especially the words from your dad, who seems like a very, very wise man that he was at his time. So I have jump into another question, sir. Given your extensive leadership experience across military and interagency operations, what advice would you give to emerging leaders on maintaining ethical integrity and strategic vision amid global uncertainty?
ooh, that's simple. Your integrity is non-negotiable, and that's bottom line. The thing that you will always be remembered by is, were you truthful? Did you say what you thought was the truth? And you do things in a sustained way to make that the case. In your ethics, I mean, we all have ethical values, but there's a critical piece that you must understand with this. So values are a function of a society that you are a part of. And as diplomats, things that may be of value to us as Americans may not have quite the same meaning someplace else. And that's where this first part I mentioned, the relationships matter, because when you understand someone, then you understand that distinction as well. Not that they're bad people, but for you personally, for me personally, the integrity, character, those are non-negotiables. Absolutely non-negotiables. And as a non-negotiable, I'll give you a quick example. When I was in Israel as a youth security coordinator, working with the Israelis and the Palestinians, the United States had a policy, and the Israelis and the Palestinians policy, and sometimes they wouldn't talk to each other. And I would meet with the Israelis, I would meet with the Palestinians, and I would say one thing to each group, and the expectation was that I would be saying one thing to this group and saying another thing to that group. Not the case at all. And so, in fact, when I left that assignment, I was working for Condoleezza Rice. I mean, I worked directly for I'd been seconded from the Army for this diplomatic assignment for a year. And I reported directly to Condi Rice. Condi Rice came and she said, Kip, I talked to, and this is how long ago it was, I talked to Ariel Sharon and he's still around, Mahmoud Abbas, and neither one of them want you to leave. Well, I was going to leave because I was going to get promoted and do my 4-star and going to another job. So after a year, but the reason of that was I never said something to one of them that I didn't tell the other one what I had said. And so there were never any creases. And I learned that even in Somalia in 92 and 93, working with the tribal chiefs. They're in those clans there in Somalia. I tell one of them one thing and I tell the other one, hey, I just told your cousin this, and I'm telling you the same thing. And obviously they were talking to each other. Oh yeah, that's what Ward told me to. It wasn't, well, you said this here, you said that there. Your integrity, your character, non-negotiable. Doesn't matter to the audience. Sometimes what you say may not be what someone wants to hear. But if you do it so that it's a constant, then that is something that you could always, and candidly, sometimes it might get you in trouble because someone doesn't want to hear it. And but that is something that for me is a non-negotiable, and my parents taught me that as well. And like I said, sometimes they always you say, well, you should have told them this. I said, no, can't do that. Can't do that. So it's non-negotiable, and that's ethics. And candidly, and when you do that, the strategic vision that you have for your work that you're doing will always be in line. Because if you agree with the strategic vision and that makes sense to you, then it's easy not to fall off of any of your values as you proceed. And it's And clearly, in today's environment, there's a lot of global uncertainty. One of the things that is important for this group, stay focused and stay motivated, because there's a lot of uncertainty. But it's going to subside. We're going to move on. And when we move on, remember what I said as I would go into these various places, be they there in Foggy Bottom or in a country team across the continent of Europe or Africa, and the representation wasn't what I thought it should be. And make no doubt about it, your presence matters because of the perspective that you will bring to the deal. Your presence matters because you will understand what I just finished talking about. So stay focused, stay motivated, and as Colin Powell said, don't give up the fight. You gotta stay with it. And always know that everything that you're doing now prepares you for that next job. You don't think, again, you're on a track that you get things are coursed and charted out. I had no idea when I was in Somalia in 1992 that in 2007, I would be the first commander of AFRICOM. But everything that I did, although I didn't ask to do it, prepared me for the next job. Even my young jobs in the military, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, everything that I did prepared me for the next position. So keep on working to improve your foxhole, make it better every day. Work with your teammates to help make them better too, because when you're all working together to reinforce each other, everyone's lifted. The entire team is lifted. So make your teammates better and know that everything that you do is going to prepare you for the next job. Even the job that you think, why did I have this job to do? Like I thought many a time, why are they sending me to Egypt? Why are they sending me to Israel? But everything that I did prepared me for the next job, just as everything that you're doing will prepare you for the next job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Lastly, we have President Maloney, you have a picture you wanted to show. Okay. General Ward,
Yes.
can you share more about this moment and its significance of this picture
What's
that's
that?
being shown?
And I'm sharing it now. Bear with me. I'm also I'm co-moderating and on technology. So thank you for understanding. Here we go. And I'm present.
Oh.
Here we go. Let me
Oh, I see that. I see that. You want me to
mind
tell you
telling
what
us about that picture, sir?
Well, that picture is a picture that was taken, I believe it was taken in 2007. And I had been promoted to 4-star general in 2006 as a deputy commander of UCOM. And obviously, you know, General Powell, I met General Powell in 1975 in Korea. He was a lieutenant colonel and I was a lieutenant, get ready to be promoted to captain. So I've known Colin Powell for a whole lot of years. But this particular picture is in 2007 when and that's my wife Joyce, my bride of now 54 years, and we're still happily together. She's a wonderful woman that put up with me for all that time. She's a great woman. But Colin Powell standing there looking at Joyce and saying, and this is the man who's been the Secretary of State, as well as the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the National Security Advisor. But he's looking at Joyce and telling Joyce, said, you know, and the words were, they said, you know, Kip will be our nation's first Black combatant commander. Now, he'd been the chairman and he'd been the Secretary of State, but he was never a combatant commander. And, you know, combatant commanders control defense warfighting forces around the world, all services. And he said, and so as he's telling Joyce, and his arm is on my shoulder and her shoulder, your husband will be the nation's first Black combatant commander. And then he said, we don't want him to be the first and only though. And during my 3.5 years as a combatant commander, I worked to ensure that I was not the first and only and last. Since me, there have been 8 more. There are currently 3 serving now, combatant, and I know all of them. Just like Colin Powell knew me through my entire time as a lieutenant colonel, commander of a division. He knew who I was, and he was my mentor. And so, and obviously he knew me pretty well to be putting his hand on my wife's shoulder like that. You know, so he knew us pretty well. But yeah,
And
that's what
General
that.
Ward, do you have any general reflections or memories? What was it like to work for General Colin Powell?
Yeah, you know, the good news is I never worked directly for him. You know, we were
Okay.
always, but I was always around him. We would have gatherings and meetings, and I'd call him, and he kind of, his leadership, those were things those were him, and for me, it kind of was reflected in my notion of building relationships. You know, he would say, get to know who you're dealing with. And I believe a lot of that came about as a result of something that happened to him later on. Know who you're dealing with. And you don't get that just by one handshake. Spend time building relationships with people that are important to your mission and to you. And the final thing he would always tell me, and this is what I'll leave you all with right now as well, because and especially given this environment we're in, I said, stay focused, stay motivated. I mean, watch your lane. Watch your lane. And for me, it translated into accomplish my mission and take care of my people. Because if you do that, then your mission will be done and you'll live to fight another day or to be effective another day. And Colin Powell was the embodiment of that for me, because the things that he continued to do, and he would tell me a lot of things about things that were going on out of the public eye. But when you saw Colin Powell, you saw the same individual. As the proverbial adage, you see a duck swimming on water and you think things are nice and calm, but there's a whole lot of action going on beneath the water. But for me, from him, stay focused, do your job. The rest of it will take care of itself. Don't compromise your values, maintain your integrity. And again, that's one that he kind of, again, had a different kind of a reaction to. So again, we won't always get it perfect.
Thank you,
Don't
sir.
let
Thank
that
you,
stop
sir.
you from continuing to move forward.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will.
Can
We
we
will
please give a round of
Yes.
applause to General Ward? Thank you so much, General, for taking the time. You are a very busy man. And there's some people I say, let's just see if they'll answer the call. And every time General Ward has answered that call. And so we thank you. You are one of the role models that we look up to. You are someone who shows us what is possible, what others may say is impossible. You prove us that you are living proof that it is possible with hard work, with focus and determination and character. So thank you so much, General Ward. We know you have a flight that you have to catch, another important engagement, but we thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us as a cohort. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much, and God bless you. And to every one of you, blessings to you and your successful careers. And stay in touch. I'm going to be watching you because I know who you are. I saw the lineups. I'm going to be tracking every one of you.
Pull us up. Pull us up.
Thank you, General Ward. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you all so much. All right, we won't have a Q&A today, so we'll move on to the next speaker right now. And also, I wanted to step back for a second and just say, I'm going to date myself real quick, but I think I met General Ward in Bosnia. Won't say what year, but it's in Bosnia, and that's all I'm going to leave it. Okay. We'll now move to our second distinguished keynote speaker for 2025 Colin Powell Leadership Institute closing ceremony. Executive Leader Coach and GovCon Growth Consultant, Mr. Bernard Height. Can you please give him a round of applause, please, Mr. Height?
Yes,
sir. Yes,
I'm a
sir.
nobody. I'm glad to be here in the midst of you great people and great leaders. That you have somebody around you. I'm glad to hear just to come in and share a word. And I'll share my screen right now. Hopefully this work. And as this comes up, I just want to just thank General Ward for the words, his transparency, his nuggets of wisdom. being in uniform, I just salute of how hard it must have been to make it to that level and what you went through. We just say thank you for. I'm a captain way down the ranks at a battalion level as a chaplain, but we thank you for all that you put up with. You sacrificed all those deployments away from home. We can't thank you enough, and you're allowing us to be able to have space, right, to move and make an impact on mission around the world. So it couldn't have happened without leaders like yourself and Colin Powell, but we salute you in a major way for what you've done for this country and what you've done for us as a people. All right, well, can you guys see my screen?
We can, if you can go ahead and do present and then full screen. Yes.
Okay, come on, let's see if this, all right.
Perfect, we can see it. That's
All
right.
right,
We got
team,
all
well,
these. We are a technological community here at BPIA. Okay, we work well with technology.
All right. Well, look, I just want to say, look, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here again. Congratulations! I was able to get a little of a snippet of some of the places where you had been frequented, and all the things that you have done to extend Colin Powell's legacy and really take international affairs to the next level, especially for people of color. So I just salute you in a major way and honored to be here with you, and hopefully look forward to being part in the future of maybe one of these cohorts or volunteering in some way. And just also, I want to pause and also acknowledge that this is a volunteer effort, but it's amazing for the leadership team that have done what they've done. This definitely looks like it's a paid shop, right? I tell you, you the way you serve this organization and what you're doing, you're making an impact. So I just want to salute you there on that. All right, so who am I? Who's this? The nobody that they asked to come and speak to you. Look, my name is Bernard Height. I hail from Los Angeles, California. I'm a born-again Jesus believer. I'm also a chaplain and honored to serve in uniform and support some soldiers in Baltimore logistics unit. And I'm over the moon in that role. And then on my civilian career, I work as a GovCon consultant, helping grow business. I've spent the last 17 years supporting missions, bidding on contracts in enterprise IT for a number of Fortune 500 companies. But at the end of the day, it's just supporting mission, making sure stuff works when our soldiers need it. And so it really has meant a lot to me over my career. And now I'm focused on helping executive leaders and leaders of any level, be better servant leaders, right? And I'm proud. I got my wife Rachel. I've got 2 young girls and my nephew. You can see there in the bottom right. And then you see also my nephew is just graduating here. I went to Tuskegee University, and he's going to Tuskegee University here in a few months. And so excited about that. But family is important to me. I want it to be important to you, and always make sure you give room to acknowledge them, because I couldn't do anything that I do without their support. And my wife is on the line, and my mom is on the line, y'all. Can everybody say, hey, mom? Say, hey, mom. I'm so honored. Look, my mom, Dr. Vicky Height, is on the line, and so I'm honored, and I cherish this time. But here we go. We're going to get to this, I promise. So I want to talk to you about the leadership reset. I was blessed. Our organization that we started had this event that basically allowed leadership training and us to go to South Africa in the month of May and go out there with the hope of trying to train servant leaders and also see a little bit of a different part of the world and get a little bit of rest at the same time. And so I think we did all 3 of those elements. As it was the first freshman launch, but it's really in line here with you guys being international affairs, was able to get a grasp of another side of the world, an appreciation for culture, also the economic dynamics, right, and all the things that are going on when you go on a trip abroad. And there was a story that really stuck out to me. There was a girl we were in Madagascar, which is one of the largest islands in the world. You got to go if you get a chance. But got out of the taxi and we were looking around, and then these girls were out there, and they were selling their goods, right? And it pulled on my heartstrings. The picture is actually here, if you can see it, right, where you can see my daughters are here, and the other girls are right next to them, but they all have the same braids, right? Same hair, same. And it just pulled on my heartstrings that those girls they looked the same, but they were coming from a very, very different situation. And I just say I can only speak to the pockets of the continent that I was able to visit, right? There were metropolitan areas where there were buildings that looked like downtown LA. There was also areas of the bush and saw animals and stuff like that. But at the heart of it, we were there in Madagascar. If I take you into this picture, the part that got me was when I had to get in the taxi and I didn't have enough money, I didn't have any currency to give to them. But I just remember that look. I couldn't explain in their language, right, of what was going on. But I took a note. It struck me, and I share it because I wanted to strike you that we have an obligation to do more than just hand out singles, all right, to people who are in need. We have the capacity. We've been given the access. We have the knowledge to leverage all the skill sets that we have, that we've learned in school, right, in international affairs, to bring those at scale across the world to make a difference. And this is an example. I took it as a charge that prayerfully, God willing, I'll be able to come back one day and be able to give not just a single to this little girl, but I prayerfully for help her have a better economy, have better infrastructure, better shelter, and be able to make an impact one day in some way, leveraging something that will come out of relationship working around the world. And that's what this organization is about. That's what Colin Powell, his mission has been, supporting mission around the world. And I think that it's something I want you to stick with, that there are real lives, real people who are in dire need of what God has given you. So I just want to live that with you. We're in a dynamic environment around the world, and I wanted to share these statistics because it was really shocking to me as I was doing some research here to get ready to speak in front of you. 120 million have been forcibly displaced between Ukraine, Gaza, and Sudan. And I tell you, Sudan is not even that publicized on the news, but 24,000 people have been killed, and almost 30 million people are in need of aid out of their 50 million population. That's a huge, significant amount of help and aid that's needed. 783 million people are facing hunger. Now, if you don't know what that looks like, imagine 1 out of every 10 people worldwide go to bed hungry. I'm saying this because this should bother you, right? This should bother you. The top 1% own nearly 50% of the global wealth. We talk about disparities. They anticipate in 2030 that there'll be a shortfall of 10 million healthcare workers. And it gets even worse in the lower income countries. And then children born that before the age of 5 are 13 times more likely to die, right, before the age of 5 in wealthier countries, and it gets worse, right, in the lower income countries. And if we were able to change that, that would equate to 1.8 million children being able to live if we were able to make an impact there. And now with all the change that we've seen going on, vaccine coverages are declining. Disease states such as measles, polio, diphtheria are now starting to come back. Their numbers are starting to increase. Polio, for instance, like in Pakistan, is starting to come back, right? And in the mental health, think about it. In lower to middle income countries, 76 to 85% of people with mental health disorders receive no treatment. No treatment. Right. And then lastly, we've got AI advances that are changing the game. They're also changing job descriptions, and they're changing job descriptions at a pace that is breakneck. And so it's having a huge effect as we're all trying to shift to figure out what jobs are going to be unimpacted by AI. Right. But we're living in a very dynamic environment. Right. And I'm not going to go through all this. I don't want to scare Alexandra here. She's like, oh, gosh, here we go. This is going to be a long one. But high level, look, these 7 things, you got climate change, we've got wars, we've got inequality and poverty, food and water insecurity, health crisis, technological disruption. These are the global problem. But let's take a look at the leadership problem. Look at these statistics. 70% of employees worldwide believe their leaders lack the essential leadership skills. Look at this. Only 12% of organizations believe that they have a strong leadership bench. And then only globally, 21 to 23% of workers strongly trust their organization's leadership. This goes to what General Ward was talking about. Why is trust and integrity important? Because it has a direct impact on people being able to put out their best, right? You've got to be able to trust your coworkers and trust your team. right, for mission to be able to work effectively. So we need to be concerned. These are the current 2023 statistics. Look at the last one here. 82% would be more loyal if leaders showed more empathy. Empathy. Empathy is at the core of what General Ward was talking about. We got to care. We got to have relationship with our people. And if we're able to have that relationship, we're going to be able to do more. We're going to actually be able to move the needle on those statistics I shared on the last chart. So look, I'm going to take you back to all the way to 1968. I wasn't even a thought, all right? But if you go back there in Vietnam, our Colin Powell was a major supporting a battalion unit. And he had his team in formation and was going through the soldiers, and noticed a soldier who had his boots, they were unsat, they were falling apart. Now, normally at a major level, he could have delegated that down, but he didn't. He took it upon himself to go to the store, find the size, get a new one, get new boots, give it to the soldier, and did it without a camera, without posting it, without trying to get fame. He did it because he cared about the soldier. This is just one example that's shared in his memoir, right, that you can take a deeper read of, right? But it shares his core concept of caring. And I think for us to be able to really address those statistics that were just shared around the globe, and for us to take international affairs to the next level, we've got to do this one thing. We've got to be servant leaders who care to change the game. We've got to be servant leaders who care to change the game. Now, you know, I'm a chaplain, so I'm going to go here with faith, right? Jesus also talked about in Matthew 20:25, right? If you want to be great, you've got to be a servant. You've got to be a servant. He modeled that. Colin Powell modeled that in the demonstration they just had. Jesus was washing the feet of the disciples, right? And so that needs to be our model that we embrace as servant leaders if we want to get after making a real change around the world. So I'm breaking down this acronym I'm calling CARE, right? The C stands for courageous on calling. Now, I've lifted up a scripture right out of Joshua. If you don't know, right when Moses was getting ready to pass the baton, Joshua was getting ready to take the seat, right? And this was God's words to him. And I pray it be a blessing to you as it was to Joshua in the time. Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. We've got to embrace this today. We're living in dire times. It's tough too. Just like it was in the time of Joshua, it's tough right now too. But we've got to be strong and courageous. We've got to be strong and courageous, because those kids, that little girl that you saw right there, is depending on something out of this group to work and get back to her 3,000 miles around the world, right? That could change her day and her life and open up opportunity. And it can happen. It can happen, but we've got to be strong and courageous. And the hard part about courageous and comfort, these two concepts, right? Because right now the world is really chasing comfort, right? Ideally, my whole goal should be to go live in a hammock, right? And have people serve me all the time, right? That's what my ideal model in life, right? But that's not it. God has called us for something bigger, right? But it's important to notice this, that courage and comfort is mutually exclusive. Now, I know it's a big word, but mutually exclusive means that the two can exist together. So you've got to either choose to be comfort and settle for what the world's dishing out, or you can be courageous on God's calling for your life. And we're at a fork at the road, team. Each one of you right now are at a fork at the road. And I'm sure the adversary thinks he's got the victory, right? And I know a lot of you have been directly and indirectly impacted by things like USAID's closure, right? And all the shift, right, on budget and spending, right, on a lot of the international outreach initiatives that have been long-standing programs in our federal government. But I want you to be encouraged that you got to be strong and courageous. And you got to choose, instead of shifting right now, shifting careers, I want you to have enough courage to go and strive to figure out where are the opportunities where you can still let your gift be used. And if it hasn't been created, you need to create it. And in this time, we've got to understand that we've got to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And yes, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable when you're looking for a job. It's uncomfortable when you spent all these years in school and you had a plan, had a thought, and now the game has changed. But the thing is let's be patient, let's wait on God, and let's continue to press, because the people around the world are dependent upon us. So that's the C, courageous on calling. Let me go to the next one. A, you got to be anchored on faith. Look, you're anchored to something, whether you recognize or not. You're anchored to the world or you're anchored on faith. But it's important for us to embrace that we've got to be able to have that confidence in things unseen and confidence in things hoped for, right? And that our faith is going to be the fuel that drives us as we kind of maneuver through. And it's important for you to understand that if you don't stand for something, if you're not anchored to something, you're going to fall for anything, as Alexander Hamilton has said. And so it's important for us to embrace that in this time of all the adversity and trial and tribulation that we're facing in the stormy waters. We need to make sure we put our anchor down in a solid way on what God is calling us to do, no matter what the circumstances are. Right? All right. And I love this. This is one of my favorite scriptures, or Matthew 7. It talks about if a wise man who built his house on the rock, and it talks about the rain came down and the streams rose and the winds blew and beat against that house, and yet it did not fall because its foundation was on the rock. Well, listen to this, team. This is what we got to be warned about. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. And the rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell with a great crash. We don't have to choose destruction. We can be smarter than that. We can hold on to our dreams by faith and make a difference around the world. Let me go to R. Resilience is required. Look, it's been said, a closed door is not always a rejection. Sometimes it's a redirection. A lot of closed doors are going on in this season, but I want you to smile and know that, I tell you, we serve a God that's bigger than our circumstances, right? And I love this scripture. I'm giving you some scripture references. I want you to put them in your ruck, right, to encourage yourself. Because after you get off these calls and sometimes we get some low places, but it's important for us to remember that when we were hard pressed on every side, we're not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed, right? These are some words of affirmation that we can take from the scriptures, right? As we maneuver through this world, it's not easy. But as we talked about before, you can be courageous on calling. You can be anchored on faith and understand that resilience is required. We're going to have to create companies, team. We're going to have to create companies that are no longer dependent on federal government spending and budgets. We're going to have to go to private and nonprofits and set up our own organizations, and also partner with sovereign foreign governments to start organizations to get after these missions. The mission is still there. We just have to think differently. So instead of just being turned off by circumstance, let's turn on our resilience, because it's required. And then lastly, my last point, E, we've got to merge together. In the military, we have these things called formations. And we have the formation, accountability formations, because it matters where our battle buddies are. In the day, we're kind of in this world where it's kind of narcissistic and we're all kind of focused just on self, and we don't like to talk to one another, and we don't have any kind of relationship. That's not going to work. That is not going to work. And so we've got to dial in and understand that the other people that we have on our teams that we're blessed to be able to get to work with, they're opportunities. You don't need to be intimidated about your battle buddy. They're a gift to you. They're equipped with a different gift than what you have. And if you put the summation of all the gifts together, you're going to be able to do a work far better than yourself. Look there at Ecclesiastes 4, 9, 10. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. We've got to be able to help our battle buddies up. And the challenges that are in front of us are big. And so we've got to embrace that if it's a great challenge, we've got to be even greater leaders. And to figure out great solutions, we've got to be able to work as a team to do something way bigger than ourselves. Those statistics I just rattled off, one person can't fix that. We've got to do this thing together, right? And so it's important for us to embrace our teammates, embrace also the people who are the end users of who we're serving, right? We gotta have a care. We gotta have a love. We gotta love better. And if we're able to love better, I love what you guys have been doing with this program of having those kind of networking events, helping each other in this time of navigating new jobs and being there as support. That's what is the model of love that Jesus is talking about. That's the model of love that Colin Powell has emulated right throughout his career in the military. We've got to have a care for one another. So in closing, we've got to be servants who care if we want to change the game. We talked about courageous on calling, anchored on faith, resilience is required, and then lastly, we've got to merge together. But let's do it. I love thinking about this stuff. I wanted to give you guys some tactical thoughts here. Pick a statistic. Here's some homework, team. Here's some homework. I know the cohort's over, but look, this is one last assignment. Pick a statistic and pick a region that you want to personally hold yourself accountable to make an impact on over your life. Pick one. Then connect with somebody local or what in that region, right? Start your nonprofit or a private firm. Get some money outside of federal government funding, right? That doesn't go up and down, that nobody can vote in or vote out. Your money's yours, right? And then analyze the contracts that what was done historically in that area so that you can have a model of what infrastructure is there, what resources are there, what people are there, and then understand that value chain. None of us can do this by ourselves, right? There are other suppliers, there are other companies, there are other governments or policies that can help us navigate that and then start to get after some of these missions. And I don't care about what the federal government is doing with budget. This is stuff that we have the power to do right now. We have the power to do it. And so I want to make sure, I'm sure you guys have talked about this stuff on your huddles. I'm just reiterating what you already know. Resilience is required. And lastly, I tell you, I'm a faith guy. I'm respectful of all the diversity of faiths here represented on the call, but I can only stand in my true faith, right? But I tell you, to believe in Jesus Christ, embrace a servant-minded mentality, commit to your calling, and go together. You were made for times like these. I know we don't like to be here, but this is your time. We're at the tarmac, team. We're ready for this blast off time. We can come out of this adversity and make a move that can ripple around the world. And you guys have the context to do it. And you have the thoughts. And all you need are people who can put it into motion, right? But it's going to take time and commitment. And you can't do it. It's not going to be comfortable. You're not going to be able to sip on a Mai Tai and do this thing. You're going to have to kind of roll your sleeves up. You're going to have to spend some time away. You're going to have to go put some boots on ground. But look at the people. Think about that girl who was in that video. I mean, in that picture I showed you. Doesn't she deserve it? Isn't she worth it? And I tell you, there are thousands of youth that are waiting for us. And so I pray that as you reflect over your cohort experience and you reflect over the words of General Ward, and you hopefully something was said from this nobody that can prick you to care. I pray that you step and be a participant on the field. We can't be in the stands anymore. We can't take selfies, and we can't be tourists. We can't be international tourists. It's one thing to just take pictures, but let's go and make a move for mission around the world. And I know you can do it. And your chaplain is cheering for you. And if I can help you in any way, let me know. That's my time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. That was very, very inspirational. And you have nominated yourself as the official BPIA chaplain. President Maloney is going to put that on paper now. So you got to be at all the executive meetings to give us a blessing before we start conversating about money.
I'm ready.
I know. Folks, I got to say, this has been a great evening. We have one question for Mr. Height. Just one question this evening. We're going to throw him a software since he gave us such a significant and hyped up brief, because I'm hyper right now.
Nice. I go over time. I hope I didn't go over time.
Good. Mr. Height, you have a prolific career across military service. to a high impact role in the defense industry. What key leadership qualities have helped you succeed across sectors, and how can young professionals prepare for cross-sector careers?
Well, I think the biggest thing is it begins and starts with mission. You got to ask yourself your why. And I tell you, I see a lot of my colleagues and stuff wasting time with all these get quick rich kind of things. That stuff does not last. Hey, you might make a little bit of money, right? But at a certain point, you're going to be like, this is not what I was called to do. This is not what I was made for. And you're not going to get fulfillment. Team, what we're trying to, it's not millions you're looking for. You're looking for God's fulfillment of how he made you. And I tell you, when you understand that, it's going to change your life. Because even when I hit hard, I deal with soldiers that deal with all sorts of things you couldn't even dream up. Some of the combinations of situations and calamities that my soldiers are able to maneuver through. But the thing is that the drive to support mission and to love by faith, those are things that are enduring. And when you get aligned to what God has created you to do, you're going to be able to be on fire. But I tell you, you can't just go and jump on every little thing because it's the fad or the trend. You got to do some deep soul searching, some prayer, alone time to God, right? Of figuring out what am I been crafted about. Go to these are 1 Corinthians 12 and Romans 12 that talk about spiritual gifts. Ask which one of those gifts are yours, right? And then start there, and then start kind of reverse engineering into what has God kind of crafted me to. And you'll find it. You'll find it. It might take a little bit of time, but it'll be worth it. You won't waste your time, and you won't be working in vain in something that you're not called to do. And that's how I've been able to maneuver through my career. And I'm still maneuvering. I'm not a multimillionaire. I've done $1 million contracts, but I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm just making it, but I'm fulfilled. There's a drive in me. There's a satisfaction that I'm okay. And it's not contingent on my bank account. And I want that for all of you who are on the line. So I love the question. Thanks so much, Brother Wayne.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just want to say thank you again for those inspirational words. I know for a lot of people on this call, because for me, it hit home. It was very, very inspirational, very driving, and getting the point out there. It's not about ourselves. It's about what we do while we're here. I'm going to go ahead and pass.
You're already doing a great mission, team.
Yes,
I
sir.
tell you, your chaplain is, I'm over the moon. You're doing great. Just keep going. But now we've got to take this stuff that's thought and manifest it here in the real. And that's hard, but you can do it. You can do the impossible.
We can. Definitely. We can. I'm going to hand it off to President Maloney now for our closing remarks. President Maloney.
Can we please give Mr. Height another round of applause, virtual rounds of applause in the chat? I feel I'm activated. Oh, sorry, my microphone. I am activated and ready to go. I was taking my notes. I said, okay, who do I know on the ground? Okay. And when you said boots on the ground, that really activated me there. And that should have resonated with many of us here. So thank you so much, Mr. Height. We have really appreciated your contributions today. You taking the time to give us these tangible steps, tangible ways that we can apply these lessons, regardless of what our walk is or what moves us or drives us. This has been very insightful. And so again, we want to say thank you so much on behalf of BPIA as our now constituted BPIA chaplain. Okay,
yes,
for the
yes. We're not even gonna have an election. It's just appointment.
So if you could stop sharing the screen for me so that I can go ahead and share my screen. As I do this, Mr. Height, if you can let us know, where can people follow you online, or where if they'd like to learn more about your work?
It would bless me if I can be I'm a leadership coach. Check out bwgcorp.org. It's a nonprofit we're just launching, but I'm looking for leadership coaching clients, right, that we can go together wherever you've been called to go, and go there using biblical principles. But that's where you can check me out.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Height.
bwgcorp.org.
Thank you. And if you're able to put that in the chat for us too, just to make sure in case people are able to pull that site. So thank you everyone for joining. For those of you who are, we recognize we have current cohort members, we have alumni. I see many of our leaders from our organization are on. I see a few ambassadors are here as well. And so thank you all so much for whether you participated in the Institute, whether you were a volunteer, a speaker, a supporter. Thank you, because without, in the hardest times that we're having, and right now as the president of BPIA, I'm looking at things from kind of a 10,000-foot view of how the world and the current kind of U.S. policies and things are impacting our community in particular, and wanting to be proactive, whether that is supporting leadership institutes and pipelines like the Powell Leadership Institute or the Madam Ambassador, whether it's writing reports and documenting what's happening to members of our community, but not feeling as though we are in a position where we have to cower or cannot take action for our own selves and our own embetterment, that we can be the catalyst in our lives to be able to keep our vision moving forward in the leadership that we see for ourselves and as a community. And so for those who were on our current cohort members, you are now officially alumni of the BPIA Colin Powell Leadership Institute. So please give yourselves a round of applause for all of the hours of preparation for leadership boot camps and diplomatic simulations and preparing with our speakers. If we can also give thank you, General Ward. I see he's got the on the road attire on and ready to go. So thank you so much, General Ward, for joining us.
It was excellent, and I appreciate it. Keep in touch. By email, so anyone needs to talk, let me know. And since
Yes.
Chaplain Height's the official chaplain, I guess I'll be the godfather.
Hello.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, General. So for our alumni who are on, you may say, well, what happens now? How do I stay involved? What comes next? First and foremost, we are encouraging and asking every single alumni from our program, whether you are 2024 or 2025, please share a story on your social media that may inspire other members of your network or individuals or mentees to help us to showcase the work of Colin, of our institute. And so if you do, please tag and at BPIA so that we can reshare. So this week, I'm going to be checking our social media, okay, people? So please do share, whether it's the closing ceremony, whether it's another event that you participated in. We also invite alumni to join our planning committee. So as you all heard earlier, the wonderful events that we do, both the professional and leadership boot camps, as well as the fellowship events that we do, that have been led by Wayne, Gabby, and Jax this year. We will be starting today. We are looking and open for those who are interested in wanting to sign up to support for 2026. So if that is of interest to you, we encourage you to reach out to us via email, powellinstitute@ibpia.org. We are always looking for mentors and those to help reach and give back. And then lastly, we encourage our alumni to share across their networks, whether it's in your organization or your other community networks or your church network or, D9, all the different communities that we're a part of, to share with other mid-career professionals for the upcoming year. Typically, the applications open in December, and we have our selection and launch time period in January. So you all can anticipate those things, and we'll be sure to communicate all of that via email when the time comes. So just keep an eye out for that, as well as in the BPIA newsletter the week ahead. That is where that's our source of truth and information for as it relates to anything and any updates for the organization. So with that, this concludes the formal segment of our program. Again, on behalf of BPIA and our leadership, thank you to our speakers. Thank you to our leaders of our institute. If it was not for you all taking the time out of your day, these spaces would not exist. And so I thank you for that. I do believe that someone walked away, maybe more than one, maybe even two or three, walked away with some lessons, with some encouragement, with some inspiration, with some empowerment that we have over our journey as leaders. And so with that, that concludes our formal program. We will be opening the floor for more informal discussion and reflection, where we'll invite our cohort members to, come off mute. No, we never pressure to come off camera. We want you all to see that we are actual humans and not, the whiz behind the blinders. But if you are able to come off mute, introduce yourself, any affiliation that you would like to share, and then any reflection that you may like from either 2024 or 2025. And if you would like to, we ask that you please do the raise hand function so that we can be able to call on you, or if you'd like to put a note in the chat to just say, I'd like to speak, and we're happy to call on you. Yes, Mr. Height.
I promise. I just want to make one small plug, and it's just more of, with all the USID closures and just people looking for jobs. Just, I tell you, this is your opportunity to really reach across and just have an open ear. Help somebody if you know about opportunities. If you don't, just keep them in your prayers. But be there. Just, don't feel like you can't call them if you don't have an opportunity. Sometimes just hearing and letting that person know you're pulling and praying for them, that's something too. As we're all trying to make sure we stay in a healthy, positive place from our mental health side, make sure you guys try to do that as good battle buddies, good colleagues, good professionals in the international affairs arena. But I'm so honored to be here with you, and I'm cheering for all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Height. So I see here in the chat, a JC has asked to speak. So if you'd like to come on mute, and I saw someone else's hand raised, please just keep your hand raised so that we know to call on you next if you like.
Ms. Maloney, this is John Cropper. I am overly emotional on this extraordinary conversation. I find it to be a therapy session as much as it is an intellectual discussion. The need for people like us to have this kind of conversation is deeply meaningful. I wanted to thank you for inviting me to participate in this conversation. Bernard, you're a wizard of inspiration. Thank you for sharing all of those insights. Coming off of the collapse of USAID and all of this kind of psychotic madness that's happening in our own government, I think there are 54 of us, or now 42 of us on this call. We all share the same vision, which is a brighter future. And it's Black people who are most equipped to navigate this traumatic experience that we're navigating through. We have to do it together. And I just wanted to just voice how thankful I am to be a part of this conversation. I have deep experience in innovation, branding, marketing, strategy, personal branding. And if anyone needs help on any of those issues, please reach out to Alexandria and she'll put us in touch. But I just wanted to express a sense of deep appreciation for this conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you, John. One of the most important things he did not mention is that he's one of my mentors, secretly hiding as JC. So I didn't recognize that it's John Cropper on. But one thing he didn't mention is that he is the co-founder. Many of you are aware that I was announced as a fellow for a program called the Lewis Latimer Fellowship Program. And so John is one of the co-founders of that program. So John, thank you for your support, effort, your guidance in helping me to develop as a leader, to be able to lead this community and to lead, masses of people in the direction of progress through learning the different tools and aspects with the Lewis Latimer program. So thank you, John.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you. We only have 8 fellows a year. We get about 100 applicants. Black geniuses doing work that will transform the future. Alexandria is one of them. We've got 25 over the past few years, funded by Bill Gates. And let's go. I feel like I'm ready to put like strap-on boxing gloves and just start fighting right now. So thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry to be overly emotional, but I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Thank you. All right. I did see a name that went up, but then I don't see the hand raised now. But I don't want to miss you or miss anyone here. We also believe, I don't believe in holding people on the calls when we don't have to be on a call. So, within the next 30 seconds is when when the hand should go up here. And for those who do have something to share, we invite you, we welcome you. Or if you have a reflection on today's call as well to our speakers. So I'll go ahead and when you do unmute, please just give a brief name and affiliation introduction and then ask your question and make your reflection. Morgan?
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Morgan Mickle here. I sit on the board of directors of Black Professionals International Affairs as a board member at large. I also co-chair the Madam Ambassador program. I but we just graduated, right? A 2025 Colin Powell Leadership Institute cohort member, and really appreciative for this program. Mine is a reflection and not necessarily a question, but I know how hard it is to run these programs. There's a lot going on in the back end, particularly for the leadership team, to put together the program, to organize the virtual events, to organize the in-person events, to get everyone to come together around conversations and themes and find speakers and really drive those challenging conversations. So I really just wanted to take some time to particularly thank the leadership team, Alexandria, Wayne, Gabrielle, Jax, and anyone I might not know is actually on the back end, really pushing everything forward. It's been a really great experience this year. I look forward to being an alumni member next year and seeing how I can contribute. But just really wanted to go ahead and give major kudos to this team running the program. I do know how hard it is, and you guys make it seem effortless. So thank you so much.
Agreed. Thank you, Morgan. Next, we'll go to Jenny and then Tope.
Yeah, thank you so much, President Maloney. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for this really wonderful program. Everyone, my name is Jenny Dan Joint, part of the cohort, so just graduated. Whoop, whoop for us, yay. But really excited, and I'm so thankful doing this craziness of, dismantling of USAID, a lot of us losing our jobs, etc., was just very hard. So having this community, but especially a community of Black people, and this amazing community and all of the activities that were planned that get me out of my house, all of the different learnings and all the different sessions and workshops, etc. So I just wanted to say thank you. You guys won't know how much it meant for me, and I'm sure for others, to have a structured program to go to while we don't have our work. So this has been really amazing to network with other people and just see what others are doing out there, but also to be a community for those of us who really need it. So really looking forward to being an alumni, a part of the alumni group, but also just like how I can support and where I can help this organization continue to be amazing and continue to grow and hopefully to be around for centuries to come. So this is really wonderful. I just want to say thank you.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Jenny. Awesome. And we look forward to, I know that the chairs and vice chairs are taking note on who is expressing interest. So, again, please, so all those who are on, do not be shy. What we like to say with BPIA is we recognize people full-time job, we all have different things going on right now. And so if you can only give 1 hour a week, we'll take 1 hour a week. If you can give 20 hours, we'll take 20 hours. So no amount of help is too small in helping us to carry the boats. I'll go next to Tope.
Yes, good evening, Madam Loni, and thanks again for putting up an amazing engagement with the two guests on the call with us today. I have a two-parter. One is actually both are questions. Annually, the U.S. Army conducts African Lion exercise with a number of countries, and I was wondering if the guests could give us some insight as to how we can get more African American owned companies to support these different units within the annual exercise. And then also if they can give us some sort of insight as to how the Army Corps of Engineers can drive more engagement with countries across the continent as far as utilizing our the American Army's unique expertise in being able to parachute into different parts of the world that are uninhabitable and making it habitable for the respective Army personnel, and really just creating oasis. I think given the influence of China and across the continent, that could be a way where we can, as a nation, talking about the U.S. now, start to demonstrate that some sort of goodwill, build some goodwill capital with respective nations, and maybe even engage with the private sector. So I'll be curious to see or learn what they think about such an initiative. Thank you.
Hey, well, look, I tell you, first of all, Tope, I think you're the guy to do it. You got the vision. Now we just got to try to help you get to the right stakeholders. I think your two-part question. I think the first one was focused on how can you get involved with as a contract? Are you a contractor or have a small business, or to get involved with we call joint exercise engagements? Was that the question?
Yes, sir. Precisely.
Yeah, and I think that the hard part about it is and I'm coming from, I've always support on the contractor side as well, in addition to being a chaplain, right? Bidding on a lot of these capability and demos and stuff like that. The answer is, the hard part is that when they do those joint exercises, a lot of times it's a test of organic capability. And when I say organic capability, that's the Army itself without augmentation on how, in the event there was a crisis, right? How would it all work? So a lot of times they're a little bit closed door, right, on kind of external support on some of the exercise. And I'm only speaking from the vantage point I'm in. So please know if anybody else has additional color to add. But the other element I would say is that you can join organizations like AFCEA and some of these other third-party kind of conferences that allow government customers to come interface with industry, and then getting a booth or bringing your one-pager capability statement right there, and having maybe even a demo of kind of what is in your mind you want to get in front of a customer. And then also utilizing LinkedIn, you can target certain agencies that are certain, you said Army Corps of Engineers, you can look and see what kind of contracts they're letting, what kind of AFCEA events they might be participating in, and then you try to go to those events, and that's kind of how that cross-pollination of ideas is at least done today on the government contracting side. But you've got great ideas, so my thought is I think you just have to kind of figure out who are the stakeholders from the Army Corps of Engineers that you can identify and isolate, and then try to figure out, can you send them your capability statement and let them know you want to have a dialogue about the art of the possible. And it's hard. It's hard. You might have to do it a couple times, right? Sometimes people are not receptive, right? Or figure out what subcontractors are currently supporting that customer and knock on their door, and they might be able to make an introduction. But I'm open to kind of help you think through that a little bit if you want to contact me offline. But does that give you a little bit of color on both questions?
Yes, very much so, Mr. Height. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, I see we have a hand raised from Dr. Letitia Malcolm.
Good evening, everyone. I appreciate this. This was a therapy session for me. So Dr. Malcolm, former internship coordinator for BPIA, a part of the cohort that we just finished. And I'm contracted through the State Department, and every couple of weeks I get an email saying that, that my work is on pause. One time I found out on Facebook that I would not be working. But I really appreciated the words of encouragement for Chaplain Height, because so outside of all my work with government policy, all of that, I'm actually a licensed minister as well. And a couple of months ago, God said, "Are you going to trust more in institutions?" And that was at a time where I thought that I would be getting a promotion under the State Department, but everything was taken away. So I started my own organization, but one of the scariest things to do is to step out on your own. But I really needed that, because we have the talent, we have the knowledge, we have the skills, we have what we need. It's just sometimes that fear of stepping out on our own, and along with imposter syndrome. So I literally needed this. I should give you an offering, but yeah.
No, I don't even know. I'm here, and please reach out to me offline. I want to just anybody, if I can support from a business side, right, or just in talking spiritually, I'm here for you. But you have the talent, Doc, and now God has just opened up the opportunity in this circumstance. And promotion comes from the Lord, not from any organization. And just know it might look a little different. It might take coming at a little bit of a different time, but God's timing always comes right on time. But I just salute you, want to support your organization, and cheering for you.
Thank you.
And shout out to you, Dr. Malcolm. I was happy to see you when you joined in. She is a woman of many. If you all think I'm in a lot of places, this woman is double the places that I'm in, and I don't know how she has time in the day, but has helped to get BPIA in numerous United Nations, UN, New York City occasions, and diplomatic activation. So thank you, Dr. Malcolm. And your effort in building out this internship program that so many, 10, 20, 30, 50 something interns have gone through, college students, and you were as patient and pleasant as almost anyone I've ever met to take the time to teach and inspire and encourage these young people and prepare them for the real world. So thank you so much, Dr. Malcolm, for all your support and your contribution to BPIA.
And if I can say this, I'm extremely proud, because our last internship cohort, I was able to get one of the interns into the Fulbright program. So Colin, right now, she's over in Tanzania. And one of our other interns, she just supported programs for a couple of the ambassadors, and she's doing training. So shout out to BPIA.
Tell them to remember us when they make it big time. Okay, remember little BPIA, please. All righty, folks. So we are at the end of our time here today. Again, you all please continue to engage with BPIA, whether it's with the Powell Institute or broadly. We have a number of different ways and opportunities to engage, whether you come with us to the in-person programs, our virtual and hybrid events that we do. If you have ideas, we are a community who is open and welcoming to ideas. You can reach out to us, to Wayne and the full team at Powell Institute at iabpia.org, or on our website. If you go to the Contact Us tab of our webpage, that lists the email address every person who is in any official capacity with BPIA. And so with that, I just want to close and remind us to be courageous. That's one of the biggest things that I kept hearing today was be courageous, and not allowing the world to cause us to cave. Because as we know, as a people, we have gone through much more and so many other things, and yet we continue to survive and persevere and progress. And so BPIA is a community to help support that exact thing. So with that, we're going to go ahead and conclude. Let's give one last final round of applause to our speakers, to Mr. Height, to General Ward, and to our leadership with the Powell cohort, chairs and vice chairs. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a
Have a
good
great
evening.
night.
Great.
Thank
See you next
you.
time.
Wonderful, inspirational afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
Great.
good night.
Glad to hear it. Thank you.